Sure.
What up, Ted and Hut? It is happy Thursday. Salud. It is
Salud.
the 10 Hut show with a side of whiskey. So I want to say thank you again for those that have been, giving us a shout out. Those that are actually been subscribing and liking our videos. Thank you so much. Again, when you subscribe to our channel, we need to get to 100. Once we get to 100, we can customize our YouTube channel. So please spread the word and help us out with this. The more we get subscribers, the more we can spread the word of helping veterans, family members that are, with veterans. And so it's really important. And talking about family members, today we have a special guest, and I'm going to pass this over to Jose. Go ahead.
Well, actually, this entire month, the month of April, and this is thanks to my wife because she actually knows that the month of April is Military Child Month. And on the podcast, we shared it and we called it the military brat. But that's because it's a very common term that in the military we utilize. So I don't know if a lot of people like it, the military brat aspect of it. But yeah, we have our guest today is Kayla Chambers. She was her parents were in the military while she was growing up. She'll tell us about it. Her mother was in the military. So just Kayla, tell us a little bit about your background and how your experience was being a military child growing up and those things.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kayla. Both my parents were in the military. Growing up, my dad was in the Navy, my mom was in the Army, but I grew up primarily with my mom. And we primarily lived in Texas and Georgia, so Fort Sam, and then Fort Hood, and then Fort Gordon is where.
Oh,
wow. Yeah, so we moved. I physically moved with her about 3-4 times while she was in the military.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
But earlier before the show, you were saying that your mom was deployed into or had a duty station overseas, but you didn't follow. So yeah. I wanted to get that story in because I know that a lot of either service members that are currently in don't know that sometimes you don't have to bring your child, or a lot of the times
you can't bring your child.
Yeah, you can't bring your child.
Me and my sister. So going between Fort Hood in Texas, and Fort Gordon, she got stationed in Korea. So during that time, I'm sorry, that's the second time. The first time we were at Fort Sam. So I lived at Fort Sam in their military housing. So my grandparents came and took care of me and my sister while my mom was deployed. They lived on the base.
How long was her deployment overseas?
A year.
Wow.
Both for each a year, about a year to about 12 months.
Yeah.
Second time I was in high school, and we were going between Fort Hood and Fort Gordon. So in between that, I stayed with my family in Georgia until she came back and then got stationed in Fort Gordon. And,
wow.
So just for some of our viewers, that don't understand what type of deployment this is. So there are specific deployment. They're not actually deployment. They're called remote tours.
Yeah.
Usually they're 1 year. Air Force has them. The Army has them. I think even the Navy has them. And those tours are for 1 year. You can extend for 2 and for even, I think, extra pay, but usually they're for 1 year. I think right now there's like some for Djibouti out in the Middle East and Kuwait.
Yeah.
Dude, the way
It
you
just
said
sounds like a funny name.
Djibouti. Yes, that one. And UAE, actually. So that's what Kayla's talking about here, just for the viewers to understand.
So for the viewers, or actually the viewers that are looking to get into the military and and saying, you know what, I don't know if it's something that I want to do. I have a child,
or I want children.
or I want to have children while in the military. What are some of the, like, where'd you go to school? Was it on base? Was it off base? Did you live off base? Did you, just a little bit of that experience on base?
Yeah, a mixture of both actually. Some duty stations. I was at I was going to school on the base, especially when I was younger. I think it's a little bit easier when you're younger, elementary, middle. Some places have high schools. But then around high school, high school is when I started going into more civilian school. Like all the kids were a mix between military and civilian. But before that, it was all military kids.
So you would have a bus pick you up and take you outside of base and drop you off at the high school.
Wow.
Yeah, when we lived on base. Yeah. Because that base was that was the school in that area. I don't know if they even still do school buses for kids anymore. I don't know, but
They
I
do.
think so.
we live in LA, so that's kind of you don't always see school buses. But they would come pick us up at little bus stops and take us to school.
Really?
Okay.
But how was your interaction? Because you don't, most kids talking about LA, you have the LA culture. I live in Orange County. You have Orange County culture. So it's a different culture, right? Now you as a student, you were a culture of Texas, Georgia.
It's an even different subculture because you're
in the
Texas
military
or in Georgia, and then you're in the military.
And so now they mix with a bunch of kids that have no clue what your parents are doing. So how was that?
Okay, so I guess it's two-parted question. So since I grew up, growing up, I was with mostly military kids. I didn't really have that perception of people from different places because everybody was from different places. So that wasn't really the focus at the military school. Yeah. I think that was actually a positive because for all the way up until probably high school, it's just more. I was closer knit with a bunch of different types of folks, more so than when I got to high school and went to schools with more civilians, because we have that commonality between all our parents are serving in the military. I don't know if that puts a blanket over certain other national things that you experience outside of military culture, but I really think that was a safeguard for me. I don't know how it is now, but I think that was a safeguard for me because I was used to mingling and experiencing other cultures while I was young because of the military.
All right.
Well, there's a common denominator, right? Just your parents and the friend's parents were in the military, which is really which kind of you could say the bond, right? And there was a bond between each other, versus just being with a civilian student that their parents just have the normal jobs. So
and the living quarters were different because you have to think about it. When you go to base housing, it's usually a bunch of cul-de-sacs or streets. It's same looking houses, so everybody next door most likely has a kid. So it was different than I guess living outside the military base. It's we live in a gated community with great security, so we were always outside, know, mingling with other kids.
Wow.
I have a question. So I know, living on base for a really long time, but I actually never interacted too much with kids in the bases that I've been in.
You still don't interact with kids, bro. But.
Yeah, I still don't interact with kids.
Keep your kids away from Jose, please. No, he'll probably be here's a knife.
They even have youth centers.
Keep your
oh, really?
Make sure you feed the kids MREs.
MREs. I start handing them out if I'm back in the Middle East.
Here you go, kid. Take this.
Feed yourself.
Yeah. But no, cool. We had youth centers. We had MWR did a lot. There was a lot they did.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is my question.
Schools on the basis.
Interaction with other kids, because I know I've seen wives do this where they either flaunt their husband's rank or their wife's rank, because I've seen a guy flaunt his wife's rank when she was a captain. Do kids do that to each other? Flaunt my dad's this rank, and
you will address me as Sergeant Major, mini Sergeant Major or something,
You will address me as me Sergeant Major.
I don't even remember really talking about our parents.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a normal kid. Sounds like a normal kid. It's like
That's a good question. I was like, I don't even remember. I remember, I think when I lived at Fort Sam, like outside of everybody's house, I think there was like a name, like you could tell. So was Sergeant Johnson lived next door, but I don't remember ever talking about even what our parents really did. I just remember playing a lot. Like I don't know. I don't think it was.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead, Will.
A question I always have. I have two kids. They were both born while I was in service, and a question I always had is, what do you see as a child in your parents? Because I would come home. I would leave super early in the morning, and I would come home super late, especially when I was a drill instructor. I was gone at 3:30 in the morning, and I would get home at 10 o'clock at night. And they would see me on Sunday. What was your perspective of your parents, your mom specifically?
I think that's probably one of the cons, the hard parts about like being a military child. Is just like there is a disconnect. I felt like in my experience, maybe some of my peers' experiences, there might have been a disconnect because of separation of like service from like your family life. You're busy, you're tired, so it might be harder to really make sure you're bonding or like around as much. And that might be why I was like super close to like all the kids in the neighborhood. Like we were just used to our parents either getting deployed or coming home late. But she definitely like when she was, there or on the weekend where they're like really made sure that like she took time to spend with me and my sister that I really cherished. But I will say it was a challenge. Like when a kid like you hear your friends whose parents weren't in the military and they just have different types of experiences and bonds that might be difficult in the military,
Yeah.
I can see that. And I mean, well, I'm going to tell the audience right now, we were going to lead into it because you are now a social worker, clinical social worker, working at the VA for veterans. But now that you've learned what you've learned in the programs that you've done, like would you kind of equate it a little bit of separation anxiety, separation, getting that perspective as a like more of a separated child from a parent because you didn't interact so much with like Will was saying.
Weird, though, because I feel like it's like this weird like being a military brat or it's kind of a weird place. Well, for me it was because it's like although you may not be seeing your parents as much as you want to, you also live amongst a bunch of kids who are experiencing the same exact thing. So it doesn't really become weird until you're experiencing more civilian kids where now your story is not the commonality or maybe you're relating on a different level. You know what I mean? So it's not normal to not see your parent a lot if all your friends' parents do the same thing to some.
So that feeling of being alone, like, oh, am I the only one? So, okay.
Maybe every once in a while. I don't think it really taps in until like you're like, oh, that's not normal, or maybe that's not normal, or that's not everybody's experience.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Pedro.
I was gonna ask, based on the experience, what some of the recommendations do you give to companies and the military branches as far as having this bond with their kids? Everyone wants to start a family. Well, majority of people want to start a family. What's some of the things that is needed that is missing that you think, based on your experience, that they should start providing?
Well, they did a lot of stuff. Now that I think back about it, like they did, like I remember they used to take pictures of me and my sister, and they would send them to her when she was deployed, and they would do little things like activities for like military kids that parents were deployed or whatever like that when I was growing up. But I don't know if it was a very common thing to know about amongst like the entire military community. I think the hard part is this is a job. It's such a, I guess, like a structured job, but being able to switch off that military role and parent role, I don't know if the military really allows people to have that time.
Oh, they make you, because I know that for a fact.
Really?
They fucking, at least in the Air Force, they made us like whenever it was MWR put out something, MWR, by the way, is Military Wellness Readiness Center.
I'm glad you knew that because I didn't know.
I don't know. I never even.
Here's the thing, even a small base like here, Seal Beach is super tiny naval station, has a big, actually one of the biggest organizations on that installation is actually MWR. And the reason is because they try to make it that the families are being combined or put into activities other than, hey, I'm home, hi, here's a plate of food, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
So actually, that's a really good question. So after a year or so apart from your mom, what did MWR do while you were on base or off base? Did they do anything specific? So that's a good point.
Like while she was gone or when she came back?
When she came back after a year, because I'm pretty sure she didn't.
I don't remember really doing much when she came back. I remember a lot of the allocation at that time was like towards like when she was gone, I think. There might have been things, but maybe like my guardians at the time didn't like know about it. I don't know. I just remember like.
Yeah. So was MWR in charge of like taking photos and sending them to? Was that all about MWR, the organization, or?
I just remember taking like Christmas photos or something, and they would send them over. They would pull us out of class, or they come. I just remember doing that a couple of times.
Yeah.
But it was definitely kind of like up to the parent to like reach out to their child like whenever they could overseas, and then time differences.
What happened to? What's going to happen with the absentee? Like, oh, I forgot I had a kid.
That's something that you would do, bro. Like literally.
Mail really close,
bro. That's that Jose.
Yeah. I used AOL a lot. Like I think like I had email. I mean, I had email when email came out. So we AOL.
Did you have a MySpace and you were sharing it with your mom?
I wasn't sharing my MySpace with my mom, but we definitely did AOL.
I remember you used to have to sit in a booth in this little box and like pick up the phone, dial all the code, Now, you just you take your cell phone with you and you can just talk.
Yeah,
so
they got hotspots and
no, it's a lot different than what it was back in the day.
Yeah,
there's so much technology now. They probably have a better time staying connected than.
I want to highlight some stuff here that you got going on behind you right now, Kayla. So you got a couple of degrees back there. What are those? Tell us your degrees.
What are those?
Oh, my degrees.
Yeah, I want to know about the degrees. Tell us.
Oh, I have a bachelor's in psychology from Cal State Northridge. And then I also have a master's in social work from Cal State Northridge.
Nice. Awesome.
And, and the reason I wanted to highlight that is because there was a pattern of education to lead to that, because, I mean, a lot of kids are not getting that out in outside of the military, What was the tutoring system in the military? Because I know they have extra like after school programs specifically for, military kids, sports, you name it. What were those activities that maybe you were involved that influenced you to get to where you're at now, education?
I don't know if I utilized like any like tutoring, but I will say that like because my mom was in the military, that's why I had those on this wall. Like I think that my access to education definitely was far more than my peers that weren't in my position, because she's a disabled. Because my mom and even my dad, they were able to sign me over their chapter 99. What is it called?
9/11.
9/11.
One of those.
Their GI Bill, the post 9/11 GI Bill. They were able to allocate that sum towards me, which helped me not have to pay so much out of pocket, and that didn't impact my ability to also get financial aid on top of that. So now I'm getting a BAH and I'm getting financial aid. When that ran out, because my mom is, I don't know if I say it like it's a good thing. Like, it's a good and bad thing. She's a disabled.
Yeah.
She's disabled from the military, but her disability helps me too, because I got the Chapter 35 after that. And I was
the yellow ribbon.
It's just like when you're
no.
It's for dependents of disabled.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone use that before. Wow, that's the first time.
All right. This is good because I really want to know about this.
Yeah, because your kids are going to go to college.
Yes, on my disability, literally. All right. So here's my question, and this is a very particular question to that. So here's the term. Chapter 35 affords that any service member that is 100% disabled or more, meaning
But
because
you can't be more.
there's different levels of 100%. Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
If you hit 100% or more, then their children, specifically here in the state of California, can attend a Cal State or a UC
You see, yeah.
for free for up till the age of 26. And the VA on the federal side affords them Chapter 35, which is like voc rehab, and offers 48 months of education. How did that apply for you after they gave you the GI Bill, which is 36 months alone, to apply for Chapter 35? Was it really difficult? What was the challenges of that for veterans that are hearing this right now?
It wasn't difficult. I mean, there was some paperwork that she had to send over, I'm assuming, and like I was able to get it pretty easy. But it really helps because like it covers tuition, and it pays at the time. It paid like $1,500, maybe it was like $1,100. You know, it jumps the number at the time a month.
What year?
Wow.
What year? The year?
You talking about the BH?
Yeah, BH.
Yeah.
What year?
Did I use the Chapter 35?
Yeah.
I used it for a little bit in 2000 and let me think. I want to say I started using it in 2000. When did I graduate college? Oh my God. I went to college, so many colleges. That's like, even though I have my 2 degrees on the wall, I also, in the meantime, attained like 3 AAs. So that's why my timing is everywhere of like, what did I use at this school? Because I want to say it was in 2012.
So in 2012, yes, it was about $1,500, I think. Right now it's 31.
Yeah, 3,100. Yeah.
Here in California. So it's
Yeah, it went up.
So my children would literally get paid to go to college and get paid BH while they are on full-time academics in school. And on top of that, if they wanted to get a scholarship,
You can.
they can apply for scholarships and be awarded that cash, and that cash goes straight to their pocket because tuition's already covered.
Which is why I have my degrees,
And
because it's like, why would I mess up college when I could get paid more than I would get paid to work a job that I would qualify for?
Yeah.
At a high school, like you know what I mean? Like if you're saying like your kids could make almost $4,000 a month on top of their school being paid, most kids that are 19, 20 years old are not allotted $4,000 a month.
No.
And if we live in LA, so like, you know.
A little clarification. Hold on, Will. A little clarification does this happen only with your undergrad, or can it happen throughout?
Oh, you're 26, and you can cut until you're 26.
Yeah.
You have up until you're 26.
If you're high speed, low drag, and you get a master's before you're 26, you get it.
If you get a doctorate,
that's why this is here.
Yeah. So
you can get a doctorate by 26. You can get a doctor, a medical doctor right now that's 25 years old.
Yeah, you just keep going
at normal pace, because you got to remember it's bachelor's degree, and then you can get an MD. You don't go for a master's at that point.
Right.
Straight for MD. So at that point, you're 20, 25, 26 when you graduate.
I'm gonna push my daughter to get her MD before.
And the good thing in California, it's really easy to get a fee waiver on top of that. Because some schools won't, or some, I don't think. Yeah, like when mine ran out, I was able to use my fee waiver to at least cover my fees of the school.
Oh wow.
So.
Wow. So let me ask you. Hold on. So you use your master's with Chapter 35, right?
For a little bit, it started to run out.
Okay. Wow, that's good to know, and I didn't have no idea about that. So this is good stuff.
Yeah, I did not know about that, man.
We're gonna have to change the title. We're gonna have to change the title.
I know.
I don't even in the military, Brad. It's like, but I'm taking notes for mine.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take it
from military, Brad.
How do you not pay for your kids' degrees?
Yeah.
If you
Right. Yeah, I only have debt because of grad school. I was like, I didn't want to work the whole last minute, and plus, like, California is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But if you're getting paid, you know, about 31 right now, I'm sure like 5 years down the road is going to be more.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you say no to go
Yeah.
to school? Yeah.
Yeah, well,
And that's
I
one of the
mean,
biggest
if you're
obstacles, right?
getting
Like
paid-
most people that started college, one of the biggest challenges is having some sort of money to sustain themselves while finishing the degree. You know, and this is a great opportunity.
And you can pause it. Like, you don't have to just use it consecutively. Now you have the time with the chapter 35. There is that timestamp of when, like, they'll stop giving it to you. But you go to school for a year and take a break, you can pick it back up.
Continue. I want to take you kind of back before when you were in high school. So moving around basis, how did that affect your credits or your courses? Well, going from base to base, you know.
I have high school. Yeah, a little bit, because some schools go like 7 periods a day, and then some schools go like block schedule. They do like 4 or whatever. So when I was in high school, and I went to like 3 high schools.
Wow.
So
wow.
I went from Shoemaker High School, Killeen, Texas.
Shoemaker?
Huh?
No, shout out to Shoemaker. I didn't go to there, but
Went to Shoemaker in Killeen, Texas.
no, you didn't. You just saying shout
Probably
out.
thinking like the whiskey bottle shoot. I don't know.
I think Jose has got a couple of drinks in him too.
I did. I started early.
Yeah, so we got some people that said they didn't know about the chapter 35. So this is this is great, you know.
Good. This is good info, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a weird place where I was behind in the head, like when I transitioned from a different state, where I was like, I took some classes that that for that state, that grade did the next year or the next semester because they're a block, and because I went from having like 7 classes a day to 4.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do with that. You know what I mean? Because like you go to one school and you technically haven't finished, and then I moved again, and it was like, now you've done a bunch of classes at once, and we're going back.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's high school. Like, I feel like in grade school, like they can do some little things around and.
I mean,
but I did have a bad experience with math, like algebra. Like, I ended up having to take it online because the way my credits were, and had to fight with the school to like get them to pay for me to take an online course, and not charging my family for being in the military and having to move.
Wow.
So that's something that DoD needs to improve on, right? So like everyone should have like throughout throughout many posts, if you're in the Army or however you naval bases, right? Just have DoD set up a curriculum where every school follows a system if they are supporting military, families.
Yeah.
Because that's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely hard. Like, if you are going to a school that's mostly military, and then if you're going to school that's a mixture of both, or mostly civilian kids too, it makes a difference too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I'm sure applying for college, like trying to get transcripts from all your high schools.
Yeah, how was that?
Yeah, I know, right?
Pain in the butt. Pain in the butt. But you just gotta do it.
You know what I hate is like when every time you apply to college, they're like, "We want to see your high school. We want to see your high school GPA or where." I'm like, "What does it matter? I have a freaking master's and 2 doctorates. Who gives a shit?"
Like, that was years ago.
What the hell? I don't even remember what the hell I did in high school. Well, you didn't have that good grades. Does it freaking matter?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, asking for a high school. Imagine, I can't imagine.
From 4 high schools, oh my god. Anyway,
Yeah.
but I do want to.
And then I went to a bunch of colleges. Well, not a bunch, but I started college in a whole other state, and then finished at Cal State Northridge. So that was a pain too.
Oh wow.
Where did you start? Where'd you start?
I started in Augusta, Georgia. At the time, it was called Augusta State.
So how was that for you to move from Georgia to California? Like, I mean, what happened?
What do you mean, like now, like as an adult?
Like, I mean, because you were with your mom, right? You graduated high school with your mom, and then you decided, hey, I'm going to California,
right?
Oh, because most people from California, like after a while being in the South, they're usually just like, nope, going back.
Yeah.
Like, about the military, because at that time when she left a little bit before me, because I was still going to school. Once she retired,
Yeah.
she was back to Cali. That's
Oh,
where we're from.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's originally from
Originally
California.
from California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said,
So-
I'm coming with you, Mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I actually did it for a little bit. I really like the South. I like the slow pace. And
Yeah, I love the South.
rent. I was like, well, I could do whatever I want out here. I could pay like $300 for half an apartment and rent. I'll go back to California and live with my parents.
And
Yeah.
paid $4,000 for a freaking
Right.
poopy apartment.
You can pay,
Yeah.
you can pay $600 for like a huge 2-bedroom apartment. Come on.
Yeah.
But I can't.
All right.
I just miss the shrimp and grits. That's it. That's
Oh,
I do miss grits.
yes.
I do miss grits.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
Shifting fire right now, and because we do want to talk a little bit about what you do now and the reason why. Well, a lot of our viewers probably know why you do what you're doing now, but you are in research, mental health research.
I'm sorry. Can I pause you there, Jose? Because I kind of want to know a little bit before we move into the. So your transition out of the moving from post to post, how is it for you? Or was it kind of easy for you to transition to staying in one area? You're in California now, and you live in that life, and you've been there for a long time, or you was like, you know what? I need to move around. I need to go from place to place. Was that with you, or is you just adjust it?
I definitely, being a military child, has made me a very adaptable person. You kind of have no choice, right? You're like,
Okay.
you're up and you're moved. But I will say that, like, I did long for just like stability, and I equated stability to just like being able to be in one place.
Okay.
And not have to move around. But I know that I also have the willpower to like get up and move whenever I need to, because like that's what I'm used to. But I would prefer like just to chill out.
Yeah.
The roots. Yeah.
I'm sure that was a lot.
I never got that. You always want what you didn't have, right? I never lived in a house with the little tick marks on the door of your height as you get there. It was always like, all right, next base is.
Yeah. Probably seeing someone else's tick marks.
I always wanted that.
I had a
It
paint.
might be cheesy, but I always wanted that. Like, if I ever had, like, where they mark the little door of the kitchen. And, oh, that was how tall you were when you were 5. I'm like, I have to go look at a whole medical record. Like, he can look at his wall, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's cool to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing. All right, Jose, it's all yours. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just because I mean after getting her degrees and actually going back to what you were talking about, I completely understand it, moving around and trying to find some stability in life. It's well worth it, at least for me. But you graduated with your master's and you have a master's in social work, and now you do research in psychology.
Yeah.
So why research?
Because I was burnt out with social work.
I love it.
You know, I have to say this. We've been around social workers. We've helped a lot of vets. Man, that's a lot of work. It's
a lot of work, and it's underpaid and unappreciated. That's what social work is. Like, if people, and I wish more social workers, that have seen that light would go into these urban areas, especially like downtown LA, Compton, Whittier or Watts, and all those areas.
That's where she worked.
I grew up.
Those are all my spots when I was a mental health therapist.
Yeah, when I grew up there, and I remember all the girls. I want to be a social worker. I want to be a social worker. I'm like, and now that I know what it takes to be a social worker, I'm like, why would these girls go through all that stuff? Because it's a master's, plus you got to get 3,600 hours. And people forget about that.
But you got to continue to educate yourself with CEUs.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God.
But it's a calling. I mean, I feel like social work is not only like a degree; it's also like an identity.
Yeah.
So I'm still a social worker.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Now you're in debt with like hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? I'm talking about like a normal child.
Not me. I'm like, oh, don't put that on me.
Not her.
Not I. I don't want that energy.
Yeah, but a normal child that has to go take out loans and all that stuff, and now they're $100,000 in debt, and they're making 50 grand to start off, 40, 50 grand. it's kind of sad, you know.
I don't know where you work. Yeah.
So that's the thing that employers don't understand. Like social workers do a lot of work, and it's mentally fatigue.
Yes.
It's just but it's
seeing all this.
I don't know why they think, and this is I'm putting it out there. I don't know why you guys think that it's okay to underpay social workers.
No, and they're doing the heaviest lifting of
they are boots on ground, like seriously.
Well, you know what? Hopefully this reaches a lot of people and someone does something. Social workers pay their work. We should be paid just as much as doctors, I believe.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. That's why I'm in research.
I would say at least 8.
But even in hold on, Will, because even in research, and I've just been in research for the past year, but even in research, y'all do more than the PIs, which is the primary investigators, the doctors. They do like 100% more of the work, and they get 50% of the credit.
That's a reach. It might be a little less.
I know. I just want to be generous. I don't want to be too douchey to the docs.
First it's the doctor, then it's the doctor's friends. You're like, ooh, when did you come into this? And then you come.
Yeah, then you. Yeah, but anyways.
Yeah. I mean that we got a little bit off with the social work, what the social work does.
Yeah, but we are running a little bit at a time. But I do want to because we are on our next podcast, we're going to be introducing some of the resources that are afforded, at least in LA County and possibly in other counties. We want to know. Have you had any experiences with any of the military child resources that some of the counties that you've been in could provide?
Honestly, because I wasn't really ever a child in LA. I was like a child, and my mom joined back in the military, and then we're off to the South.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I basically just got to pop out and breathe a little bit, and grow up to be like 8, and then I was out of California until I was in my 20s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's going to be our next podcast and I hope everyone, again, subscribe and watch us. It's going to be about resources for military child.
Yeah.
What's afforded to you after or during your parents' deployment.
Yeah. So I do have one more question for you. He was going to say something. Go ahead. Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, okay. I do have one more question. So, did you ever had an opportunity to eat an MRE?
No.
She said no.
She said no. Okay.
You know what we're gonna do for you, Kayla?
I mean, I had opportunities, like they were there if I wanted to indulge, but never was I ever like curious.
I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna for partaking in this madness that we have here for veterans. And then explain a lot of different things that a lot of veterans did not even know. I mean, apparently it seemed like to be a highlight of the question is chapter 35. Yeah. We're going to mail you an MRE.
Yes.
All right.
I just handed it to her in the office.
Somebody said an MRE is not an opportunity, but it's a punishment.
Right.
Jose's gonna send you over an email with the menu, of MRE, and you can pick of your liking. Everybody keeps liking the mac and cheese. That's the one that the highlighted one.
Beef stew.
I can't do mac and cheese, bro. Like mac and cheese. No.
Beef stew, number 9.
I'm gonna go back to my MRE chef days.
Why
and I'm gonna make you a good.
Does that? Huh? Why is that a combination?
You don't understand. This one is gold. This one is gold. Okay. When the happens, this is the first one that's gonna be sold for at least $1,000.
Bro, how old is that? How old is that MRE, bro? Like 10 years?
10 years. At least 9 years. At least 9
They don't expire. Like at least for 10 years.
They do expire.
They do expire.
It just after like a long time.
Yeah, they douse it with a bunch of sodium and everything, so that it doesn't expire in 1 or 2 years. But we'll send Jose will send you a list.
Okay.
Yeah. And for Marissa that just commented, yes, I will have you try one.
Right here, Marissa.
Chili Mac is the
I
best.
did not like the chili mac. I don't know.
Chili Mac is the best.
No.
And,
And you know what? You put that little bottle. You put that little bottle of Tabasco and just.
It makes it so much.
You know what they should do? The vendors just have like Tapatio instead of Tabasco. Or, like saying like at least give you an option.
Hold on. Did you not, when you were out in the field, did you not carry a bottle of Tapatio, the little small?
Tapatio. Yeah, but sometimes. But you know how many people always trying to rob you from it?
Well, have them buy their own.
Kayla, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. We really all appreciate that you're sharing a lot. What your experience in the military, and one of the things that I have to say is that I have never didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen families, right, but I didn't understand it from a child's perspective. So thank you for sharing that, and I'm sure that this video is going to show on YouTube down the road, and it's going to help others that are looking to get in the military or in the military, or at least have some sort of a cohesion with amongst others, because I was looking through YouTube and I saw that military kids tend to gravitate to each other, and they talk about, like how we do in the military, like veterans, like, what veterans go through, so
it's crazy. Like I still have friends on like Facebook that I've met in the military in like 4th grade, 2nd grade. We may not talk, but I remember like her birthday from like 4th grade, and I'm still connected to them like virtually. So it's kind of dope, like
that's cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Cool.
Different lifestyle, and it's actually I haven't seen too many podcasts that highlight the military child experience. Is very few and far between. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah.
And for you guys that have been watching and leaving them comments, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Again, we need to get to 100 so we can customize our YouTube channel.
The subscribe thing, let me throw this out there for you that are watching.
Yeah.
You need to hit the subscribe button. You have to hit the subscribe button.
If you're watching this, go to subscribe to www.10hut.org, and you'll take it straight to our YouTube channel.
The subscribe button. If you don't hit the subscribe button, you just watched it. That's it.
You're just going to get the knife hand. All right, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Remember, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, there's the 10 Hut Show with a side of whiskey. Good night. Until next time, take care.
And drink responsibly.
Yeah, drink responsibly.
Big number.